Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beale Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest positively impacting our community. Today I welcome Assistant League of Saddleback Valley Vice President of Philanthropy, Mary Lou Light. Since 1988, the Assistant League of Saddleback Valley volunteers have been making our community a better place to live. They give those in need hope and inspiration for a brighter tomorrow. Thank you, Mary Lou, for being on Impact OC.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for inviting me here. I'd love to talk about my favorite topic, the Assistance League of Saddleback Valley and our philanthropies in Orange County. First and most well-known is Operation School Bell, that encompasses 5 different philanthropic endeavors in Saddleback Valley. We clothe both elementary and secondary students, perhaps 1,050 children every year in grades kindergarten through 12th grade in the Saddleback Valley and Capistrano Valley school districts. The families who are included are those most in need, and they're selected by the school liaisons within the school district. We meet them at Target during the school year, and we fund their purchases of school clothing. It's very impactful, and I experienced how impactful it was in several ways. On one particular occasion, I was helping a mother get her children ready for the checkout line. She had 2 twin daughters. And we'd finished adding up the purchases and were ready to check out. And suddenly she burst into tears, gave me a big hug, and said, "We had a fire last week and we lost everything." The children literally had no clothing to wear to school. At a moment like that, you realize the impact of what it is that you're doing. In another example, there was a young boy in line, a high school student, and some friends of his said to me, "You understand how important this is to him. He has only one outfit to wear to school, and he has been criticized and ridiculed so much that he was deciding he was going to drop out. But now that he will have these clothes, he'll be able to go back to school with dignity." Another program we have that assists school children, and particularly school teachers, is Links to Learning. And this year, 75 teachers submitted grants, requests for items that they might need in the classroom. We spent $40,000 in actually acknowledging these grants. We granted everything like 75-inch monitors for a science class, gardening equipment, books for the library, laptops, and in one occasion, blazers for a scholarship student behavior class that students qualified in a particular school, so they could wear their blazers with pride and be identified as good students, good citizens within the school. Another philanthropy we have that's very big in the community is high school scholarships. This year we are giving 5 scholarships. We give them to 1 scholarship to each of the 5 high schools within the Saddleback district, and 1 special scholarship for 1 student who is going on to a trade school. In addition to that, we do senior outreach, which means that we deliver meals through Age Well Services in Laguna Woods. We deliver meals 4 days a week, 52 weeks a year. So if you can count on your fingers how many meals that might be, that is a whole lot of meals delivered during a year. That we are never on vacation. We are on call for that 52 weeks a year, 4 days a week. We also conduct food drives within the community. Working with South County Outreach, we hold 4 to 6 drives a year at a local supermarket, and actually ask people as they are shopping if they would care to donate, and most of them are very, very generous. Again, I realized the impact of that when I asked a man if he would care to donate, and he said, "Well, actually, I'm very hungry and I hardly have enough money to buy food for myself. So I directed him to South County Outreach because I always have all of South County Outreach's information, phone number and address, and how you can actually get enlisted in their food program. Another big philanthropy for us is our Adopt a Family philanthropy. With the school district, they help us choose 10 families a year to be adopted, and we shop for Christmas presents or holiday presents for them. We have been very, very lucky the last 2 years because Macy's has donated, very generously donated us toys for these families. So about half of the toys they donated went to the 10 families, and the other half of the toys we delivered to Camp Pendleton for the children of Camp Pendleton families on the base. Another big program we have, or a project that we're now supporting, is foster care children. We've done 2 drives within our chapter for foster children. One was Vera's Sanctuary. I happened to go to a fundraiser for Vera's Sanctuary last summer, and Vera's Sanctuary is a home for girls who have been trafficked. They're in the foster care system and they are frequently addicted. So this is a home for them after rehab to transition them, make sure they get a high school education, and then Vera Sanctuary provides funds if they care to go on to further education. So within our chapter, we conducted a drive from the generous members of the chapter to provide them with needed hygiene essentials as well as Christmas gifts. Some of them have young babies, so we also included items for the infants that they might have. Let's see, there are so many philanthropies, I don't know if I'll be able to cover all of them.
So how are you funded?
We are funded in a couple of ways. One, by the generous donations of the members. Number 2, we hold a fundraiser every year at the Ritz-Carlton in Dana Point, and people are invited to participate and to give. And also we receive grants. Every year we apply to various foundations for grants, and we've been very lucky on that particular score. We have had grants for Camp Pendleton and grants for the scholarships. And the interesting thing about our chapter is that our overhead is very, very low. So that if you made a donation to it, about 88% of all the donations go directly to our philanthropies. Also, if you give a restricted or targeted donation, 100% of your donation goes to that particular program that you have selected. We are like one-stop shopping. Look at all of the needs in Saddleback Valley, pick the one that you care most to support, and we will do all the legwork. We will do all the work. We will make sure that that money goes exactly where it has been targeted.
How do you determine who to help?
Well, that is sometimes challenging. There are so many needs. Obviously, there are needs to clothe children in Saddleback Valley. There are needs to help feed them, needs to help educate them by providing scholarships. We look for the neediest of the needy, and various other organizations help us. For example, we are now working with My Own Case OC, which again is another program for foster children. What I learned when we got involved with them is that foster children change homes yearly. So if you're 6 years old and you're in the foster care program, you can imagine that you'll have about 12 different homes before you're 18. So what this program does is provide them with a rolling duffel bag filled with the items that they might need. And you would be surprised to know the items that they need. Things such as toothbrushes, toothpaste, hairbrushes, underwear, hoodies, t-shirts, clothing, books, toys. They really don't have much, the foster children, as they go from home to home. So we have donated generously to this particular program. We have worked at Debbie Threlkill's house in Orange County. She's the one who manages this program for Orange County. We have packed these rolling duffel bags, and we have collected donations from our members for items to go in the duffel bags. Another interesting thing that goes into the duffel bags is a card with an inspirational saying on it that's age appropriate, and we have filled out hundreds and hundreds of those cards. Last week I was there filling a bag myself, and it was for a 6-year-old boy, and I tried to imagine that boy and if he would like the things that I was putting in the duffel bag. Would he like that book that I chose that had the dinosaur on the cover? Would he like the camouflage pajamas that I was putting in there? Did I pick the right kind of toothpaste? So I thought about him, and then when I put the inspirational card in, I hoped that he would know and feel the love that was in my heart when I packed that bag.
When you talk about foster children, what are the ages?
The ages of the foster children start at about age 5 and, believe it or not, go up to age 21. That's how long you can be in the foster care program if you are without parents or
Are they aware
family.
that you help them?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there was a recent spot on ABC where the director of Orange County Services was there, and he interviewed the woman, Debbie Threlkill, who manages the program, and was there quite gracious and quite thankful for what it is that we do. So that's an example of an existing program that we have helped support. So we look for those as well as our standard programs, and we call those projects, and a lot of it comes from the generosity of the hearts of the members of Saddleback.
So when it comes to foster care, though, they leave the program. Do you help them when they leave the program?
Most of our programs for children pretty much stop at age 18, within school ages.
And so they get what you can provide to them if you have the funds for it.
Exactly. So when funds come in, many of them are targeted. Many of the grants that we get are targeted. We had one grant that was targeted for a specific alternative school, and we used that grant to buy food for their food bank, perishable food. We used that grant to buy warm jackets for the students who were coming only in hoodies because they didn't have them. We used that program to fund a couple of scholarships. And it just depends. As the funds come in, and they're targeted, they go to exactly where they're targeted for.
Talk about the different community services you provide.
Within our community, we do senior outreach. As I mentioned before, we adopt families at holiday time and support them. We have also sponsored field trips for students. Actually, this year, we paid for 200 students to take a science field trip to the beautiful, beautiful elementary school in Trabuco Hills. It's a school that's been around since 1879, and it backs up to a beautiful park in Trabuco Canyon. And what was so fascinating about this particular field trip is that it's hands-on science. The reason that the school district needs us to help is that basically the money that we're providing pays for the school buses to take the students to this particular location. And the school district has a policy that, well, basically the cost is $30 a person to ride these particular buses that they've rented. If some people in the class can't afford that, then nobody goes. So what we are doing is filling in the need there and making sure that everyone can go. And it's such a worthwhile experience to support. I saw third graders who were building irrigation systems and then testing them to see if they worked, designing ideal gardens for the basic climate that we live in, understanding what a breed is by looking at chickens. Who knew how many breeds of chickens there are? But there were pictures of them and then real chickens there representing many of the different breeds. And so they were learning it by actually seeing it and experiencing it and identifying the breeds. They also had velocity meters, something I'd never seen before. They were outside measuring velocity with these meters. So real hands-on science, and we made that happen.
And I'm noticing you're smiling as you're talking about them. So tell me about your experience with the organization and others.
It's been incredible. I've been vice president of philanthropy for the last 2 years. I've been a member for 6 years. When you start, it's kind of like dipping your toe in the water, and you start with a little philanthropy. So because I was a former teacher, I started with Operation School Bell at the secondary level because that's what my students were like, and it was really fun. But what happens is you kind of catch the bug and you want to just keep doing more. So then I did a different philanthropy. I did the food drives, did a little bit of that. And when you're experienced the philanthropies, you think, well, what more could we do? How could we add to this? How could we make it better? So that's been kind of my job, to reach out into the community and look for other philanthropies that we can support. Time and funds permitting, of course. We're 90 members. Not all of us are young, so we have to manage our energy that we have and the strength that we have and the funds that we have, and try to take the best advantage of that and do the most that we can for the community.
And tell me about the other kinds of volunteers.
Well, the volunteers, we have a satellite organization called the Assistines. They consist of about 40 or 50 students from 7th grade through 12th grade. And here in the Saddleback Valley, these students have a community participation hour kind of goal that they must meet in order to graduate from high school. So this kind of organization lets them meet that goal. They participate in some of the same activities we do, but they're limited in time because in the day they're in school. And they also participate in sports and other extracurricular activities. So a lot of their activities occur on the weekends and sometimes in the evenings. And they do food drives. They participate in Operation School Bell. They adopted 3 families this year. So they kind of mirror our activities, but only at a time frame that works for their particular life, going to school and doing homework and playing football and marching in the band and all the other activities that they have.
What would you say are the biggest needs in the Saddleback Valley area?
Shockingly, food, housing, and clothes. That was a big surprise for me. I did not think that I would ever run into someone who said, I can't contribute to your food drive. I need food myself. That was a shock to me. This was in a very prosperous community that it happened. So yes.
So when you have a food drive, what kinds of food would you like?
The South County Outreach gives us a very targeted list each time we hold a drive. So sometimes it's rice and beans. Sometimes it's canned soup. Sometimes it could be pasta. Sometimes it's spices, condiments. And of course, there's always a need for meat. And so we fill that from our own funds as well as from donors' funds.
So at the beginning, you talked about providing clothes to the needy. Dive in a little more.
Well, our clothing program at this point consists of Operation School Bell. We have at other times collected clothing for other organizations such as Families Forward or Dress for Success, I believe it's called. But now we're really focused on school children.
So to do that, you want them to have new clothing, or it can be slightly used clothing?
New clothing. We take them to Target, and there's much pride in that. You'll see much pride in the students when they're in the checkout line, because these are brand new. This is brand new clothing, and we have consistently raised the amount that we spend because clothing has become more expensive. So we budget enough so that a student can get a pair of jeans, a hoodie, a couple of shirts, a pair of shoes, socks, underwear.
One outfit or several outfits?
Well, depending on what good shoppers they are. If they pick up clearance items, they can do quite well.
Is there a certain amount of money they have to spend?
Yes. For secondary, grades 7 through 12, it's $165, and for elementary, it's $135. The younger students' clothing is not as expensive as for the high school and junior high school kids.
So what is that like when you're among them?
It's fun and it's challenging because we're bringing maybe 30 students at a time to target. We have to structure it so that they have perhaps an hour and a half to shop. If you're a high school girl, that's probably not enough time because you have to try on everything to make sure that it fits perfectly. So it's really helping them be organized, making sure they find the right clothing in the right place. And then before they check out, we always take them to the scanner and scan all the prices, because sometimes the price tags are not correct. It actually costs less to buy that item, and we want to make sure that they spend every penny that they can.
All right, going to the other spectrum, going to seniors. When you say you supply meals, do you do it at a certain site? How does that work?
We report to Age Well Services in Laguna Woods, which is in the senior center in Laguna Woods. They give us a list of the homes that we are to go to that day. We have a route, and most of the homes that we go to within Laguna Woods are on a certain route so that they're easy to get to within an hour or two. And we have the meals. They're all packaged for us. It's basically Meals on Wheels that's managed by Age Well Services. We load them into our cars. 2 of us at a time will go. And we go on the route. We take the meals. It's 3 meals. They get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We knock on the door, and they open the door, and we say, hello, welcome, here's Meals on Wheels. Sometimes we go in to talk for a moment. Sometimes we're the only people that they see during the day. And so we've become pretty well acquainted with some of the people that we've been delivering meals to for like 5 or 6 years.
So you're delivering the meals, you're not providing the cost to pay
No,
for
this
the
is
meals.
labor. We're providing labor.
Providing
Hours
labor.
and hours and hours of labor. If they had to pay someone to do that, I don't know what it would cost, but we volunteer and do that.
So explain membership to your organization.
In terms of how you join?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty easy. You can log into our website, which is alsvca.org, which means Assistance League of Saddleback Valley. .ca is California.org, and there's an application form there. There's also a phone number that can be reached. You can also reach me at my email address, which is my name, maryloulight@outlook.com. I'll be happy to take your information and provide an application.
Is there a cost?
Yes, there is. There are dues that are $75 a year. There is a ticket to the Christmas tree luncheon, which must be purchased. That's $150. And then there is either an item worth $50 or $50 to be contributed to the auctions that we hold at the Christmas tree luncheon. That's how we fundraise.
Thank you, Assistant League of Saddleback Valley Vice President of Philanthropy, Mary Lou Light, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.